Hello, and welcome to the next part of this White Album 2 Doujinshi reading. This is Bizarre Love Triangle. So, he was pretty much openly admitted at this point that she likes Haruki, although the actual admission was kind of muffled by the wind and Takeya didn't quite hear it exactly right. So we as the readers aren't entirely sure at this point that that's what she said, but that is what has been insinuated, and Takeya has confronted Haruki about it. So let's read on from here. Why are we going to Goodies, Izuka? Why not? It's cheap and the food is good, and you don't see a lot of Hojo students here. Oh, there's a real beauty eating pudding at the back there. Never seen her before. What did you want to talk about? Pudding! It's probably Kazusa. Kitahara, you were out on a date with Io in Onjuku on Sunday. It wasn't a date. A guy and a girl walking around town is a date. It's not a date. Highly, highly disagree. Izuka, are you aware of the etymology of the word date? It comes from date, as in a calendar, and refers to a boy and a girl deciding on a day and time in advance to go out. Also, the Oxford English Dictionary defines it as a sociable or romantic appointment. I didn't ask for a damn wiki article. I hate Haruki in this story. He's so annoying. I mean, he's usually kind of annoying in the regular story, but here, he's just an insufferable nerd. She called me up without warning and made me go with her. That's it. There was no romantic sentiment involved. Oh, you were dragged along, huh? She's fallen for you one-sided then? For God's sake, stop looking at everything in romantic terms. You know, you didn't exactly look like you were hating it. Izuka, have you been stalking me? I just spotted you in Onjuku, that's all. While you were on a date. No comment. Of course he was on a date. If he's not at school, he's on a date. You don't see anything wrong with shifting your attention to another girl in the middle of a date? Shut up. You clearly like Io Mizusawa a lot if you're willing to stalk her. Shut up! And tell me why she suddenly called you up. There's no point in you dawdling around here trying to pick up information. If you like Io, tell her directly and ask her to date you. But you'd better break things off with your other flock of girls first. Seriously, you're driving me crazy. Stop lecturing me. It's getting annoying. I'm used to being called annoying. Okay, to be fair, Takeya absolutely deserves this here. You can't be like yelling at a guy from hanging out with a girl when you yourself have yet to ask her out. You are annoying. What, do you not like Io? In that case, what does the nature of my relationship with her have to do with you? She's been my best friend since middle school. My only really close friend, and my only female friend. That much was true. Io and Takeya met in the spring of their first year of middle school. I love them so much. I love the childhood friends trope. Takeya had played soccer up until middle school. He left his seniors behind and became a regular in autumn of his first year. As central midfielder, he won the admiration of teammates and opponents alike with his killer passes and dazzling shots. Likewise, Io became a regular on the girls' basketball team in autumn of her first year. While playing as point guard, she deftly made shots in the mid to long range. So they were little sports buddies. They were sports kids. Which of them approached the other first? Which of them acknowledged their friendship first? Takeya couldn't remember that now. They recognized each other as figures who stood out in the gymnasium and on the playing field. As they were in the same class, they naturally started talking to each other. When they talked, they realized they had a lot in common. When they hung out, it was fun. It's so cute. See, now, knowing Takeya, it's hard to imagine him as a sports kid, because he's so focused on his appearance and dating and this and that that he doesn't really do a lot of extra stuff. Even as part of the light music club, it was really just an excuse to pick up girls. So, though they fought sometimes, they always made up quickly. Every time they made up, they liked each other more. It was in summer of their second year that misfortune visited the two of them. During the Koenji Cup preliminaries? That's a hard word to say. Preliminaries. Takeya took a violent slide from a rival player. The clash fractured and sprained the ankle of his left foot. His pivot foot. Ah, God, that sounds so painful. I've never fractured or sprained or broken anything. So, it just freaks me out hearing about it. It's so scary. He was in treatment until winter and then returned to practicing. But if he moved his leg for too long, it got too heavy to stand firm. As his condition failed to improve, he endured a constant dull pain. And he saw Io constantly looking worried and frustrated for him. When it got to be too much, Takeya quit playing soccer altogether and decided to focus on the student council and studying for entrance exams. That is so sad for him. That sucks, especially since maybe if he had stayed in soccer and been successful, him and Io could have continued building on their relationship. But their relationship was built on, their love of sports and competition and doing that. So that's sad. And during the third year school trip, Takeya... Izuka? Anyway, the point is, we've been good friends for a pretty long time. And she's always focused on basketball, so she doesn't exactly have much dating experience. I can't just sit by and watch her go out with some mystery guy who might trick her or hurt her. I don't really see myself as shady enough to be called a mystery guy. You don't have any romantic feelings for Io? That's right. Then what were you two doing on a date? I told you it wasn't a date. What was it then? You keep sidestepping the damn question. What, Mr. Class Rep can't bother dealing with a girl-crazy moron like me? Is that it? I didn't say that. Never mind. Takeya stood up and grabbed the sales slip. Just stay away from Io. You can't do this. You can't claim a woman. She is not property. If she wants to hang out with a friend, Takeya has to let her do that. This is so stupid. If Takeya wanted her that badly, he can go ahead and ask her out. And you better not tell her what we talked about today. What? Hang on, you're contradicting yourself. Shut up. We're done talking. Muttering something under his breath, Takeya left Haruki behind and departed goodies. Dang, they don't really have that much friendship here, considering how close they are at the beginning of introductory chapter. Bizarre Love Triangle, Part 5. I can't go home with you today. Go without me. I'll get in touch later. After homeroom, Takeya pulled out his phone and stared at Mika's message, which in reality had a lot more hearts and stars and things sprinkled into it. Cute. Something was irritating him, and he knew what it was. Oh yeah, the jealousy. Jealousy is not attractive. This is just gonna put more of a wedge between him and Io. There, in a corner of the classroom which fell within his field of vision, was him, nagging someone who hadn't turned in all his documents yet. He, of course, was the class rep, Haruki Kitahara. Every time Takeya caught sight of him, it pissed him off. The guy who carried off such a flawless speech at the entrance ceremony. The top of the class, who had made the highest scores on the start-of-year proficiency tests. The honors student who had been president of his class since the school year began. A guy who could be relied upon to do anything perfectly. from administrative work to homeroom coordination. Dude, Takeya's inner thoughts here are just dripping with disgusting green envy and jealousy. This is not a good look. He had plenty of sides that drew backlash as well. He was overly nosy, for example, and he took his verbal arguments too far. But no matter what resistance he might face, his expression never changed. He kept on pushing and persuading in his matter-of-fact way, cornering, forcing surrender, winning over. On the flip side, he listened to any troubles or worries his classmates might bring to him one by one, giving them suggestions toward the solution. When it was something that the person in question simply couldn't handle, he took it upon himself, even if it was accompanied by some grumbling. There was no discrimination in how he spoke to people. High caste or low caste, jock or geek, cute girl or so-so girl. So-so girl. That's so mean. Haruki. Yes, it's good to listen to people's troubles, but no, it's not good to be this much of a busybody. For yourself and for others, because others need to learn how to sort out their own problems, and you need time to enjoy your own life. God, he's like somebody's old man. That was Takeya Izuka's appraisal of Haruki Kitahara. Not that he was like a middle-aged man specifically, but that he was like a father. Ooh, that is an interesting interpretation of this. Because Haruki kind of grew up without a dad at this point, at least in the latter half of his childhood. So him acting like a father is an interesting thing to note. Dang, that's what I love about fanfic artists. Fan fiction. This kind of is fan fiction. It's a doujin. Sometimes they hit something so spot on that you've never thought about, you never even considered. This is great. He would give you a drawn-out lecture as soon as he looked at you, it should be. Butting in everywhere, constantly. But when his children were in trouble, he would help them without hesitation. Whether that child was a model or a delinquent, it made no difference. A father overflowing with love, who commanded love. So why was he being so evasive? Something murky and unpleasant was billowing up in Takeya's mind. To be fair, I think it's kind of dumb that Io told him to keep it a secret. Especially now, Haruki should just go up to Io and be like, hey, Takeya's been asking about us. Like, can I just tell him we're studying together? Don't keep secrets that are pointless. There's no reason to keep it a secret. There's not even any love going on there. But it's messing with Takeya. So if you can reassure him, that would be great. No reason for a secret. They're not really dating, are they? No, this is Io. Her brain is a basketball. That's so mean. She doesn't have any remote interest in guys or know anything about love. But maybe Kitahara's the kind who seems quiet and uninterested, but actually drives girls crazy? Maybe he's dangerous? Nah, not likely. Not with an average face like that. He's a preacher is what he is. And they never talk at all in class. But they could just be hiding that they're dating. Io's definitely the type who wouldn't want people to know about it. God damn it. His irritation was intensifying. Takeya nonchalantly opened up the message screen on his phone again. He needs to chill the heck out. Anyone I can hang out with besides Mika-chan today? Michiko-chan or Kayoko-chan or Eri-chan maybe? Oh. He realized that all three of them had also sent messages saying they weren't available today. Really? If you get turned down by one girl, you don't need to immediately go jump into another girl's arms. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't shoot your shot, but Takeya has like 5 girlfriends at the same time, at least. So really, get a grip on yourself before you want to be jealous of another guy possibly picking up another girl. Really? Amid his bafflement, he heard someone in the corner of the room say, "Yes, I'm free." It was the guy who hadn't turned in his papers yet. Where'd Kitahara go? Dunno. He just saw some message on his phone and flew off. Lucky me, right? What the hell is he up to? What's the deal? I don't have anything to say to you for. Io had been called to meet with a group of girls behind one of the buildings after school. One of them was Mika, the one with whom Takeya had been spending so much time lately. Oh, awkward. No. I hate this. I hate when the girls are fighting. There's just something we want to ask you, Mizusawa. You're dating Kitahara, right? What? What do you mean, what? Don't play dumb. Mika saw you and Kitahara being all lovey-dovey in Onjuku. Saw you confess to him, too. And he said yes. Io sighed heavily. And if all of that were true, what the hell does it have to do with you? I'm just saying, if you got some other guy you like, you'd better back off of Takeya. Like we told you, Mika and Takeya are really getting somewhere. Yep. And we have a lot of fun hanging out with him too. So stop snuggling up to him just because he's nice or because you went to middle school together or whatever. This again. Dude, poor Io. Like, she hasn't... I mean, she's shy around Takeya, sure. I wouldn't really consider that romantic interest. Like, us as readers can kind of tell, but anybody with eyeballs can also see that she's not actively pursuing him, so they need to chill out. Everybody on this story needs to chill the heck out. Well, if you understand, that makes things easier. That's the way it is. Stay away from him. You think I care? What was that? You think I give a damn about what any of you say? Takeya's my best friend. What's wrong with talking and hanging out with my best friend? Your best friend? Are you kidding? The hell does that mean? A guy and a girl, friends? Best friends? That's too much. I can't. You're not funny. You're just into Takeya, and it's so obvious. Even though you're dating another guy. And it's the class rep. I'm gonna die. The hell is wrong with your taste? Y'all really only look at everything in terms of romance, huh? That's all you can ever think about. Girls and guys can be friends. I will say this 1,000,000 times. Girls and guys can be friends. Again, it's pretty obvious that Takeya is into Io, but they are not actively pursuing a relationship. They are choosing, at least Io, to remain friends. So this jealousy is so unwarranted. That's funny coming from you, Mizusawa. Slut. Mika snickered. What did you... Say that again! Yeah! Io grabbed Mika by the collar with her left hand, her right hand raised. That's enough, Io. Of course, the dad has to step in. Haruki. Come to save the day. Would have been so much better if it were Takeya. Dang it. Haruki. Kitahara. Class rep. Sorry I'm late. No big... Now, Arata, Yoshino, Ida, Okuda. Which one of you is seeing Izuka? That'd be me. You then. Listen up. As high school students, we are right in the middle of the second stage of puberty. Oh, Jesus Christ, Haruki, are you serious? Just stop. You're such a horribly unattractive nerd. It's understandable that your mind would turn to members of the opposite sex. However, you must also understand that the ultimate duty of a high school student is to study. What? Where's this going? This is so stupid. This is the worst lecture I've ever seen. Equally important is the foundation of interpersonal relationships. Higher education is not compulsory. However, it is filled with boys and girls at an age of insufficient character development for entering society. In other words, this is a place to practice building amicable relationships with others. All 4 girls stared blankly. Huh. They're just like, how can one man be so unattractive? With all that in mind, once you enter society, you'll have male neighbors, friends, colleagues in your private life and in your workplace, with whom you'll have to get along well. In that regard, there are things more important than romantic sentiment. Formal correspondence, easy reliance, respect, friendship that transcends position. What are you talking about? All of which to say, you're all going about this wrong. It's not as though Io is preventing you from entering into a romantic relationship with Izuka. Except she totally is. She's not. She's her existence is? Because her being friends with Takeya has not done anything to close Takeya off from getting with other girls. Just saying. Here's a question. If you and Izuka were to get married, but you didn't work in the same place, what would you do? I haven't exactly thought about marriage. That's why I said if. Would you neglect your own job to go to monitor wherever Izuka worked? Would you tell him, don't talk to any of the women you work with? Seriously, I'm so not even thinking about that right now. What's funny, Io? You're just reacting exactly like I thought you would. As Io laughed, she let go of the stunned Mika's collar, then walked over to Haruki's side. This is so silly. This is like a nerd fantasy. You know when you get in a fight and then you're in the shower later and you're like, oh, I could have said this and then that would have really got him. This is like Haruki's shower fantasy. Like, oh, I really showed them, those bullies. I got them. You listen too. What I'm saying is, in society, there are a variety of potential relationships between men and women that can't be swept into the romantic category. Even so, that's difficult to understand when you're going through late puberty. Therefore, you should take a step back. Learn how to value friendships and fellowship that go beyond gender. Class rep, are you trying to pick a fight? Huh? Have you been listening to me? What on earth would lead you to that conclusion? You're obviously siding with Io because you're seeing her. Seeing? Meaning in a romantic relationship? What the hell else would it mean? We aren't seeing each other in that sense. We're just friends. See? Haruki said so too. Are you kidding? You were there on the platform in Onjuku. Miyazawa asked you out and you said yes. Haruki sighed heavily. I assume you were with Izuka at the time. Sure was. So, I don't exactly know how you two heard that conversation, but I can't deal with this. Io tapped her right forefinger to her forehead. There's so many girls like you. Every one of you goes, I'm in love with Takeya. You need to break up with him. Don't get in my way. Whatever. You could just live your own life, but you always gotta come at me. I'm sick of it. The blood goes to my head and I start wanting to hit people like just now. But if I let myself get violent, I wouldn't be able to keep playing basketball, which is what I love most. All she asked me was to come along if she got called out like this. It sounds like you just misheard. Wait, what? And there's the truth. It was a misconception. They didn't hear properly. The reader did not hear properly, which I love. I love when they mislead the readers a little bit like that. knew that if I had Haruki here blabbering on, I'd get bored enough to calm down. You could just say the part about calming down. That, and he's got like zero interest in girls. I figured there wouldn't be any misunderstandings. I don't need interest in girls. I'm in high school. Oh God, this guy is so bad. He's such a nerd. Oh my God. I don't need interest in girls. I'm in high school. It's so funny. Anyway, point is, if she likes Takeya and Takeya likes her, I'm not going to say anything about it. Date, fall in love, do whatever you want. But I'm not letting you stop me from hanging out with my friend. And stop coming at me with petty shit and starting fights. That's all. And there you have it. Are we understood? One more thing. From what I've seen of him, in spite of his appearance and behavior, Iizuka values his friends. If he were to find out that you troubled Io like this, I doubt he'd be very happy about it. This is why I wanted Takeya to spring in instead of Haruki. The four girls exchanged glances among themselves. Among us, amogus. The spite drained from their faces. Fine. I won't bother with Mizusawa anymore. It's a drag for me too. Well, if Mika says so, then... And I'm sorry I grabbed you. I shouldn't have done that. So can I go to practice now? Let's disperse then. By the way, if you four ever have any trouble, just let me know. I'm happy to give advice on anything other than romance. You know, here's something that I've learned. You can be the nicest person you want to be. But if you're nice to your friends' enemies, then that is a negative. You know, these girls were literally name-calling Io, calling her out, threatening her. And now that one little misunderstanding has been like put aside, you're like, oh yeah, I'll help you girls. I'll give you advice. Don't do that. Just don't do anything. The girls went off, 1 and 4, in opposite directions. Hey, what was that? You were acting like his number one. His number one? No, I wasn't. Shut up. His number one. Well, maybe that's not too far off. Haruki, having tarried for a moment, finally returned to the entrance of the school building. Oh boy. This love triangle. It's so funny because except for the small intro, we haven't even seen Takeya and Io speaking to one another. Despite their relationship being at the front and center of this doujinshi, they haven't even spoken face to face, which is ridiculous. So, with that, I will call it here for now and continue on with the next chapter next time. So, thank you ever so much for joining me on this doujinshi reading from White Album 2, and I'll be back with the next part shortly. So until then, hope you take care. See you.